Over the last year, the car market has been a wild ride, but as of this week, we have some of the most up-to-date information. And I am happy to report that we finally have some good news. So let's dig into it. Now, for those of you who are new to my channel, or if you haven't seen this series here on my channel, every single month I go over the most up-to-date information and data regarding the used car market. I've been doing the series for about a year and a half now, and it's been really interesting to see how car prices have gone up and have gone down over the last 18 months. I compare these figures not only to where we are today compared to last month, but also compared to previous years, for example 2022 or even pre-pandemic back in 2019. This allows for us to see where the car market is not only trending in the future, but also trending historically, which gives us some valuable information whenever it comes to planning the purchase of either a used or a new car. And today, we are fortunately back on track with where we should be, but let's cross our fingers that this trend continues. Let's start off the data by looking at Manheim and seeing what they have recently reported in the last few days. According to Manheim, wholesale used vehicle prices decreased 2.7% in May from April, with Manheim Used Vehicle Value Index declining to 224.5, which is down 7.6% from a year ago. This is pretty substantial, and this is exactly what we were looking for whenever we're talking about the used car prices and how they're declining month by month. At the end of the day, we're not going to be seeing these huge price drops month over month in the used car market. But what we want to see prices trending down consistently so that we can look at data a year from now and say, wow, car prices have fallen quite a bit. The 2.7% is seasonally adjusted. So if we take into account the non-adjusted price decrease, it is at 1.7%, which isn't as low, but it's still lower. MMR values were down in May, and they decreased at a growing rate throughout May. Now remember, MMR values are the average prices of cars being sold for at wholesale. And the reason why this matters for the average consumer is because of the fact that as MMR values either go up or go down, the prices of used cars at dealerships also go up or go down. There really is a trickle-down effect that this has on the overall car market, and the lower MMR values are, the lower prices that you'll pay as a consumer will be. The problem with MMR values is that there isn't a huge swing with how MMR values affect consumer pricing. There typically is a lead time. For example, if we see MMR values decrease in May or in June, you're not going to immediately see that reflection on dealer room floors. And that is something that we have been seeing quite a bit in the car market over the last 12 months. I constantly get asked the question of if car prices are actually going down 7 to 10% year over year, why aren't we seeing that at the consumer level? And the problem is that the fluctuations within the car market from an MMR value perspective haven't been consistent enough to have a huge impact on us as consumers. So it is going to take some time for MMR prices to go down consistently for us to really be able to notice whenever we go to negotiate a used car purchase. But it is having an impact just slowly. The 3-year-old index declined 2.6% from April to May. MMR retention, which is the average price a car is sold for versus what the MMR value of that car, was at 98.7%. This means that in May, cars actually sold below their MMR value. Remember, MMR retention, if it's at 100%, it means that cars are selling for around their true MMR value. If it's lower than 100%, they're selling for less. If it's above 100%, they're selling for more. So at 98.7%, cars are being sold for slightly below their MMR value, not a lot of difference. The average daily sales conversion rate averaged 59.9% in May, which means that conditions currently favor the buyer, and used vehicle retail sales were down year over year. Dealership supply was flat from April to May, but was down from May of 2023 to May of 2022. And commercial fleet sales are up quite a bit, 45% year over year. As for vehicle segments, pickup trucks, compact cars, and vans lost less than the industry average of 4.6%, 7.2%, and 7.5%. And luxury segments lost more than 10.8%, which is above average. This is overall great news. Buyers are in more control, prices are coming down, and individual vehicle segments are also coming down as well. But let's head over to CarGurus Used Vehicle Value Index and let's take a look at some more vehicle segment data. So here we are at CarGurus, and you can see the graph which shows that car prices have truly been a roller coaster over the last year. May 2022 data shows the index price at around $31,000, and today it's at around $29,698. So it is down year over year, but it isn't at its bottom either. And as you can see, most vehicles follow the same trend here, with flatlining data in the summer of 2022, with prices going down quite a bit in the fall. Then prices went back up in February of 2023. And that is the trend that all major makes and models followed last year. If we scroll down to body styles, you can see that unfortunately, again, we aren't seeing a huge reflection of prices going down year over year or month over month. You can see that about half of the vehicles are up in the last 30 days, half of them are down, and unfortunately, the vehicles that are down are not down a ton. For example, sedans are down just about 0.04%, hatchbacks are down about 0.5%, and wagons are down just about 0.06%. But you can see that year-over-year data is trending in the right direction, with the only two types of cars that are actually up year-over-year being the convertible and the coupe. Now, according to the Manheim data that we reviewed a little bit ago, as we headed further into the month of May and heading towards June, prices for cars began to accelerate downwards, so the price decrease was happening more rapidly. So it will be interesting to see what this 30-day data is next month, because I'm curious to see if the shift will actually happen to put a lot of these vehicles into the red due to that accelerated decrease that we did see in May. We scroll down to makes and we can see a similar trend. The vast majority of cars are down year over year with the exception of a handful. About half vehicles are down and up over the last 90 days. And then I would say a little bit more than half of the vehicles are actually up over the last 30 days, but there aren't huge swings in either direction. For example, Volvo's up 0.37%, Toyota's up 1%, we have Hummer down 0.3%, Hyundai about 0.75%, and Infiniti about 0.25%. So we aren't seeing these major swings in any one direction for the 30-day data, but we are beginning to hopefully see that prices are beginning to come down. But again, the important part here is this year-over-year data, and you do see that the vast majority of cars are down quite a bit over the last year, especially luxury cars. For example, Aston Martin's down 10%, Bentley's down 9.3%. But we, of course, have normal everyday cars that are down as well. For example, Chevy, Cadillac, BMW, Fiat is down 14.9%. Ford is one of the big winners on the chart. They are down less than 1% year over year. And you can see that for the most part, makes and models are down over the year, which is a great sign. Tesla is the big loser here. They are down 31% year over year, which is quite honestly crazy. And last, but certainly not least, let's head over to cars.com to take a look at some of the actual vehicle listings. Now, I like to take a look at cars.com because I really believe in the saying of you can price your car at whatever you want, but the worth of that vehicle, or quite honestly, the worth of anything, is only what people are willing to pay. And whenever you look at cars.com, you can see data on price drops. You can also see how long a car has actually been listed for. So if you have a normal everyday car that's priced at, $10,000 more than you would expect for that car to be priced at, if that car isn't selling, then that price point is pretty irrelevant. We want to see what cars are actually selling for. And so whenever we take a look at cars.com and we look at these listings that have been sitting for long periods of time, it gives us a good insight as to what price points are simply too high and thus they just aren't selling. So the filters that we chose for cars.com are 2020 to 2023 to reflect the 3-year-old index, 40,000 miles or less, and I also made it so that it's a great deal. I find that whenever we go to, good deal or fair deal, the cars are just so ridiculously priced that it's hard to get really good data. So starting off, we're not filtering based off of any make, model, or type of car. You can see that there are some price drops already. For example, this Hyundai, this Chevrolet Colorado, this Jeep Grand Cherokee, 2020 Volkswagen Atlas. Basically, every car that's listed as a great deal has a price drop associated with it, except for this F-150 Lightning. But as we have found out over the years, price drops can be misleading. This is advertised as having a nearly $2,500 price drop, a 2023 Cadillac, and if we scroll down to the pricing history of this car, you can see that it actually has in fact had a price drop. It was listed originally on May 26th, for $69,491, and it's had 2 price drops over the last few weeks and is now priced at $66,996. Let's keep scrolling a bit more and see what types of other cars that we find. I don't want to look at a 2023. Instead, let's try to find something like a 2020 or a 2021. For example, this 2020 Hyundai Sonata is perfect. It's a normal everyday car. It looks great, and it is shown to have a $378 price drop. You can see that this car has been listed for about a month. It was originally listed on May 2nd for $27,998, and it has had small, consistent price drops over the last few months. It has actually had more than just $378 worth of price drops. This was just the most recent one. So it's had actually $1,529 in price drops, listed for 37 days. Let's take a look at this 2022 Ford Bronco Big Bend. These Ford Broncos were incredibly hot cars during and after the pandemic because they were newly released. They had long wait lists, were selling for above MSRP, and they were extremely expensive to get your hands on. So the fact that we see one today that's a 2022, 10,000 miles, and it has a price drop associated with it, it is interesting. So this car is priced at $51,000, has a $2,700 price drop, but let's scroll down to vehicle history, and we can once again see that the price drop is actually quite a bit higher than just $2,300. This has had $6,390 worth of price drops over the last roughly 30 days. It was originally listed back in May for $57,000. It's now sitting at $51,605 on June 7th. So this car has seen quite the price drops. It obviously is having issues being sold, or else they wouldn't be dropping the price. Let's take a look at one more example. This one is going to be another hot vehicle that during its release period, it was selling for well above MSRP, and that is the Rivian R1T. Now, the Rivian is the truck electric vehicle, and I'm personally a big fan of Rivians. I think that these are very, very cool cars, but they are just insanely expensive. I could never buy one myself, but these are one of those cars where whenever they were first getting released, they were selling for $110,000, $120,000 pretty consistently. And once again here, you can see that a Rivian has a $2,000 price drop. This is an $81,000 Rivian, which is a lot of money, don't get me wrong, but this is actually a pretty good deal for this car considering it has 2,932 miles. If we click on it and scroll down, you can see that this car has been listed for a whopping 123 days, and it has experienced more than $5,796 worth of price reductions over this period of time, with the most recent ones coming in the last 30 days. So a few key takeaways from this car market. Number one is car prices absolutely are falling, both at the wholesale level as well as at the consumer level. This is probably due to a number of different things, including an overall increase in supply. Even if that increase in supply is slightly down year over year, the supply has been more consistent month over month. Interest rates creating an issue for buyers. It's harder to buy a car today than it was a year ago. As a result, there are less car buyers out there. The second thing to take note of is these really, really hot cars. I think the Bronco and the Rivian are two excellent examples of this. These cars are returning back down to earth as far as their pricing goes. These are two cars that were selling for well above MSRP used, and though they are still overpriced today, they're beginning to turn to a normal level. This is probably due to the factors that we mentioned a moment ago, like supply and demand, but it is also no doubt a result of these cars just becoming more normal. They just aren't as hot as they once were, and as a result, they're not warranting as high of a price tag. But overall, this is all great news. The car market is beginning to turn around after it was starting to decrease at the beginning of 2023. And while we haven't hit our lowest point yet, we are slowly but surely getting there. And I hope that by the time we enter mid to late summer and early fall, I really think that car prices will be substantially lower. But only time will tell. Like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it. So make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. And I will see you guys in the next video.